What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? We are the Whatever Men, and this is the Whatever Men podcast. I'm Theo, and he's
Malcolm Lee Kennedy, also known as MLK. And this podcast is about comic books, comic book movies, sci-fi, or whatever we want to talk about, because that's why we are the Whatever Men. And today, what are we talking about, Theo?
Today we are talking about The Defenders Season 1, the newest Netflix entry between the Marvel and Netflix venture that has brought us such wonderful seasons such as Daredevil Seasons 1 and 2, Jessica Jones Season 1, and Luke Cage Season 1.
And that's it, and nothing else. And
nothing else is worth mentioning.
Yep, right. All your favorite characters are back, and like he said, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Stick is back, Elektra's back. Who else we got? There's that guy who gets beat up on every Marvel. Yep, Foggy's back.
Foggy's back,
and no more important characters after that. If you can tell, we got some biased feelings, but.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. Hey, wait, before we get started though. Hey, did you hear about Disney pulling out of Netflix?
I actually did hear about that, and the interesting thing about it though is what I heard immediately after is that they're still going to try to work something out to keep, at least in the short run, the Netflix Marvel universe going, but they are going to be moving their Disney products and their Star Wars products over to their own streaming service, as well as the Marvel movies. So really right now it looks like they're going to work out a deal to give Netflix what they've already promised them as far as, another season of Daredevil, the first season of Punisher, which word on the street right now is that's going to be a mini series as well, just like The Defenders. So it's only going to be about 8 episodes. With Karen Page.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 8 episodes. Which I honestly, we'll get into this more. I kind of like the 8-episode format. I think maybe Marvel and Netflix should work something out. I know Netflix wants content, but some of those 13-episode seasons just kind of tend to drag on and could be told in like 8 to 10 episodes.
They do drag on a little bit, but I love it, man. I mean, I wait so long for these shows, and then so I'm like. I love it. Like I thought 8 was too short. I really did. I don't know. Something about it just didn't. It was I binged that in like one night and it was crazy. But I don't know. I guess it's a good thing. I really hope that it stays with Netflix because I do not plan on subscribing to some Disney streaming service. That's not gonna happen. I got enough as is. HBO and it's too many. It's too many streaming services, man. I don't like it.
Dude, I have Netflix. I have Netflix. I have Hulu. I have Crunchyroll. I have HBO Go. I've got, you know what I mean. I've got so many streaming services. I'm with you. I'm not getting another one just to watch Disney stuff. So if Disney makes that move, not saying that we here at the Whatever Men support illegal downloads or streaming of any sort of content or copyright infringement.
You speak for yourself, man. You speak for yourself. I'm getting it by any means necessary, whether I'm getting my grandmother's password or whatever, man. Literally, screw that. No, we don't support it. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah, I was gonna have to use that movie phone voice real quick. It was like the preceding words from MLK do not represent the Whatever Man in any way, shape, or form.
Right? Oh man. All right, whatever. Let's get into this review. First off, The Defenders. What do you think about the show? Let's get that out of the way first.
I think overall, I do think it was a good show. We're going to get into a deeper, review, the good, the bad, and what could have been done better later. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it being 8 episodes. I liked binging it in basically a day and sitting down and just kind of breezing through it or whatever. It felt very much like a comic book to me, and that's what I want these crossovers to feel like when they get to that hallway scene and it's all four of them meeting up together for the first time. It just reminded me of like a major splash page from, you know, an actual Defenders comic with multiple heroes in one small space kicking the crap out of a bunch of villains. That's what I'm here for, man. That's that's been the love of my life since I was 6, you know.
But about those hallway scenes, is this a Marvel like a Marvel Netflix trademark now? I swear to God, there's a hallway fight scene in every series. I've seen Daredevil do it twice. I've seen Iron Fist do it. I don't think Jessica Jones and Luke Cage done it.
Oh no! Remember, Luke Cage did it. Luke Cage did it when he invaded that drug money storage house.
Right.
Where they had the Wu-Tang blasting.
Like
they had the Wu-Tang blasting. He burst through the door. That was to me. That one was like. I mean, obviously the first season of Daredevil where they did it with the one camera shot. You know, that was gorgeous. Like that was one of the best action scenes that has ever been filmed. And of course, you know, the second.
That was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And the second season of Daredevil. That scene kind of paled in comparison because it had to. Like, there's no way you could live up to that again. But as good as
I didn't like it as much. Yeah.
As good as that first season of Daredevil, that first hallway scene was, my favorite one is still the Luke Cage one. And I'm biased. Look, Luke Cage is one of my favorite heroes, if not my favorite hero of all time. And he's blasting Wu-Tang while he beats the crap out of a bunch of drug dealers. Like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was beautiful, man.
But you know what? Speaking of Wu-Tang, they played a Wu-Tang song in the final episode of this season.
Protect
your
neck.
Me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Oh, we'll have to. Okay,
we'll
dig into that deeper. So tell me how did you feel about the show overall?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Unlike you, man, I wanted 10 episodes. Give me 13. You know, I mean, 13 would have been too much probably, especially all the characters that they had, right? But I felt like 10 episodes, it could have explored maybe the side characters a little bit better. You know, give maybe Foggy and Karen Page and the rest of the company, you know, give them a little bit more time to explore them. Like 8 episodes being so condensed, I felt like they didn't have enough time to do all those things. But I mean, it was great. I loved it. You know, the only reason I wish it was longer because I wanted more. That's really it. But I thought it was really good.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's a sign of a quality product. I think if at the end it leaves you wanting more, then you know there's definitely nothing wrong with that at all.
Right. Yeah. Good point. All right. So let's get into it. So all right? Give me a good thing. What's a good thing you liked about the show?
All right, so right off the bat, because I'm argumentative, the first good thing I'm gonna throw out is my disagreement with you on the supporting characters. I thought the representation of the supporting characters was one of the strong points of the show for the most part. Personally, there's one particular supporting character that I didn't feel like was very necessary, and I'll get into that into my bad. But I love the way that
is his name Iron Fist? The immortal Iron Fist.
Unfortunately, he's not a supporting character, but he is also.
Oh man!
He actually didn't make my bad list because he improved himself in comparison to his solo
entire
outing.
Bad list. Yeah. He's my entire bad. Spoiler alert. Oh shoot! Oh wait. Speaking of spoilers, we did give a spoiler warning. Hey guys, spoilers for everything Marvel Netflix. All right. But
exactly.
Why are you listening to this review?
Exactly. Like real talk. If you have not watched all of the rest of the Marvel Netflix shows and Defenders, and you're listening to this, be prepared to hear some things and have things spoiled for yourself. Just understand that's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And I would suggest you go back and watch all of it because it is all quality, except for Iron Fist. Just skip that. But
come back and listen to this podcast, please. Please come back and listen because we need the views.
But back onto the supporting characters. I love the way that the way that they used Jessica Jones supporting characters with Trish and Malcolm. You know, Trish kind of doing the whole investigation, trying to figure out what really went on, And also,
Was she doing an investigation?
well, she was to an extent. You know what I mean? She knew that there was something fishy going on, and that the people above her shut down while she was doing her Trish Talk show, shut down her doing any exploration into why those tremors had happened. And I think that also was a testament to the power and the influence of the hand, which I thought helped establish how much the hand had really dug themselves into corruption. Malcolm kind of used his expertise as an ex-heroin addict to help
as a freaking junkie.
Yes, exactly. As a junkie, he was able to point Jessica in the right direction to where the architect was hiding out. They had Karen Page and Foggy Nelson being the better angels for Daredevil. They have my girl Misty Mother Effin Knight, who I love to death. I love the actress who plays her, Simone Missick. She's wonderful, and they finally cut off her arm.
I'm gonna give you something. I'm gonna give you something about Misty. She's on my bad list. Not her itself, but something about her. And I'll get to it when we get to our bad.
Okay. When we get to bad, All right. So yeah, I don't have to go through them all beat by beat. Colleen Wing did her Colleen Wing thing, and but that's basically it. The rest of the supporting characters I actually would put into my bad conversation, and we'll get to that. What would you say is something that's on your good list?
Man, I really like the African member of the Hand. I thought he was just the most gangster thing I've ever seen, man. Like, you seen him? Like, he was like going toe to toe. Like, he comes out and he's fighting Luke Cage, and he's like, "Oh, they say you can't be broken. Oh, we'll see." And I was like, Jesus, this dude's a gangster. I was like, man, I was really disappointed when they killed him so quickly. I really wanted him to go the distance. I also like the Japanese guy for the Hand. Like, he refused to speak English at any point in the whole show.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. I like those two members of the Hand. Madame Gal's okay, and I also So in every movie, every comic book movie or hero movie, I always look for what I like to call the hero moment. And that's where the hero has a moment to define himself. You know what I mean? It's like that. Okay, this is why you're a hero. And Jessica Jones had a hero moment in this one when she jumped up and grabbed that that elevator from I was like, all right. I was like, okay, Jessica, I see why you're here. And I was like, cool. So shit, is that all I got? For my goods? Hold on. I thought the Daredevil death was we already did spoiler. Yeah, I thought that was really well handled. They immediately, killed it right after that. But I thought the way that they did it when everybody walks into the police station and everybody walks through the doors and everything, and they're like waiting for Daredevil to come in, Matt Murdock, and he doesn't come in, and Karen Page just like jumps on Foggy and starts crying. I was like, oh, that was well done. That was a well done way to do it. Not cheesy, I felt like, Well, so I really like how they handled it there.
But I agree with you, but it was cheapened by two facts. It's cheapened, first of all, by the fact that we already knew that a Daredevil Season 3 was coming. We've known that a Daredevil Season 3 was coming since, like, San Diego Comic-Con. So it's like, he's not dead. And then on top of that, they do the pre-credit scene where, they show him in the hospital and they mention his mom's name. So it's like, that sets up what the whole Daredevil Season 3 is going to be about. But
yeah, what was her name? Maggie?
Maggie,
or Maddie or something like that?
Maggie, yeah. His mom's name is Maggie. So, moment.
Do you know anything? You know anything about that? And like just comic book wise, I don't know. I've never read a Daredevil comic book in my life.
Yeah, so that Daredevil comic book story is considered like one of the more like classic Daredevil comic book stories. Basically, and the way we already know that the way that it's being portrayed in the Netflix is going to be different. Like the Born Again comic, that's what it was called, by the way. Born Again was the
Yeah, and I try to look at it. I think I'm about to sign up for that Marvel Unlimited stuff just so I can read that because I heard that's like one of the best Daredevil stories ever.
Yeah, and Marvel Unlimited is good. I don't personally use Marvel Unlimited. I'm cheap as shit. I use I've already got Amazon Prime anyway, and they give you a lot of deals for comics on Kindle, and sometimes you can just straight up like get free comics on Kindle. So that's what I use. Yeah, that's what I use to get all of my comics. Yeah. So the Born Again storyline involves Matt Murdock kind of meeting his mom, Maggie, who's a nun, and
like how does he respond to that? He's like, "Hey, mom, where you been my whole life?" You know, how do you respond to that, right? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Basically,
that's weird.
And that storyline had a lot more to do with the Kingpin and with Elektra. And whatever they do with the Netflix version of it, it definitely won't be a straight adaptation. But I think it will give us an opportunity to re-involve Kingpin. Because I think Kingpin's going to end up being the major villain for the Defenders season 2. So they've got to find a way to incorporate him back into the mythos. And I think Born Again is a good way to do it.
Maybe they're both born again, for example. I don't know. That's kind of weird because Kingpin, I think he's coming back with a vengeance, man. It's a real shame he wasn't in this series, man. Because that greatest. All right, for the Marvel villains, right? The great Kingpin, and I really liked the Purple Man. Kilgrave. I love Kilgrave, man.
Yeah, Kilgrave. I think I put Kilgrave number 1. Personally, even though he didn't finish out the season and that kind of cheapens it a bit, Cottonmouth, man. Cottonmouth was such an awesome villain.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Cottonmouth as a villain, and so he's my number 2, and then Kingpin would be my number 3. But I think either
Kingpin all the way number 3.
Kingpin's number 3, and that's not a slight. That's not a slight against Kingpin. There were moments in season 1 where he came across kind of petulant instead of intimidating, and I didn't like that. I like my Kingpin. Kingpin, the when he like smashes the guy's head with the door, like that's not Kingpin style. Kingpin has always been this calm, collected, sort of methodical. Don't get me wrong, he can go toe to toe with just about anybody, but as far as the street level guys go.
I remember like the old Spider-Man cartoons, anime series, and he's going toe to toe with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
like,
yeah.
Jesus.
So that's Spider-Man. Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain. He wasn't. He luckily they were able to use him in the Daredevil series because he exists in this sort of gray area as far as Marvel characters go, where there was a lot of overlap, and that's why they were able to. That's why he didn't get swept up with Sony when they got Spider-Man. But he's fought 1-on-1 with Spider-Man, 1-on-1 with Daredevil, 1-on-1 with street level heroes that have enhanced abilities. So he is not like your average guy. And just that, like in the season 2, I thought he was actually portrayed much better than he was in season 1. Much more calm, much more Kingpin-like. I think the whole point of part of the reason why he didn't feel very Kingpin-like to me in season 1 was the idea was this was the rise of Kingpin, the making of Kingpin. So he wasn't who I know yet. But I have a few more things as far as good. I love the music. I love the fact that they allowed the music of Luke Cage season 1 to greatly influence Defenders season 1, because I think that was the best part of Luke Cage was the music, and I think there's not very many people that.
I wish I would have saw one of those I wish I would have saw one of those performances though, like how they had Faith Evans or whomever, that would have been. I really wish I would have saw just one.
Yeah, if they could have found a way to
I didn't
incorporate that would have been a good touch.
Yeah, but they didn't spend a lot of time in Harlem though, so that was kind of weird.
Yeah, they didn't. They definitely didn't. Because look, at the end of the day, this was not a. And I'll get into this more in my bad or what could have been done better. But this was not really. To me, they didn't do a good job of making this into a story about the four heroes. It was kind of really a story about Daredevil and Iron Fist, because the Hand are Daredevil and Iron Fist villains. So the focus was on Daredevil and Iron Fist, and
Well, I heard someone say that it felt like Iron Fist season 2.
See, and I've heard people say that it felt like Daredevil season 2.5. So I think that I think that there's truth in both of those things. I think that it feels very much like it's partly an Iron Fist story and it's partly a Daredevil story, and then everybody else just kind of gets the table scraps. And,
yeah, right. Like,
and that part.
Yeah, come
is
here,
unfortunate.
Jessica, and throw this guy against the wall.
Yeah, exactly. That part is unfortunate. But what I will.
Oh, my last good on this one. I can watch Luke Cage get shot by bullets all day long. If somebody would make that into a YouTube video, like a 3-hour YouTube video, just Luke Cage just standing there and guys just sitting there unloading clips into him, I love it. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah, and I mean it is, and I think there's a certain amount of symbolism to it too, because at the end of the day, you got a black man in a hoodie, and bullets are not affecting him. There's something beautiful about that. Something definitely beautiful about that.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the bad. Like, what were some things you felt were bad about it?
Everything with the immortal Iron Fist. The stick called him a thundering dumbass at one point. I was like, I mean, it felt like everybody was ragging on him, and God, you know what? And it's the actor. It's the actor and it's the writing for him, right? But the actor, he does not hit moments like he should, you know. And like God, remember that scene when they're like ganging up on him because they're like we need to you know basically take you prisoner, you know, and so the Hand doesn't get you, and like he's like acting like he doesn't understand. I don't know, man. I think because he's British and he has to control his accent. He has to talk in the same low, mild voice that he can't really express himself. But I mean, he's awful, man. He's not good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, when they first announced him as being cast for the role, I thought he would do a good job. Honestly, you know, his character in Game of Thrones, Sir Lawrence, the Knight of Flowers, was this great swordsman, you know, and when I look back on it, I realized he didn't have that many sword fighting scenes. He didn't have that many action scenes. He didn't have that many.
He had zero.
Yeah, well, I think he had one. He had they had like a tournament, right, where he was jousting and everything.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. When he fought the Mountain.
Yeah, exactly. So he had like one scene really. And so when I look back,
that was just jousting. That was just jousting in that too, by the way. That wasn't even true. In fact, freaking the mountain freaking almost killed him if it wasn't for the Hound.
The Hound stepping in.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I realized that I was giving him too much benefit of the doubt, and he very quickly proved himself to be not a good action actor. There actually was they had tested this Asian American guy whose name I really wish I could remember right now, but I don't. And that's really a conversation for another podcast. But he was phenomenal. Like he actually they ended up casting him in Iron Fist season 1 as the drunken boxer, and he was amazing. And if
that was like one of the best fights.
Yes, if they would have decided to make him Iron Fist and make Danny Rand into an Asian American, I think they could have saved themselves a lot of headache, and also could have gotten a better action fighter. But like I said, that's a conversation for another podcast.
But well, you know, here's an issue I have. Right, the immortal Danny Rand has literally been training his entire life in this mystical city where guys put you in a room and just beat you with sticks all day. You know, I mean, like, and I feel like he should be the greatest martial art. I feel like no one, unless it's some, you know, enhanced superpower individual, should be able to stand toe to toe with him, including Daredevil. Like, you should have Danny Rand should be running laps around Daredevil in a straight up hand-to-hand combat. I really feel that way.
And
you know?
you're
And
100% right. You're 100% right. Um, the as far as the Marvel Comics mythos, depending on who you ask and when you ask them, and honestly, the answer has been the same for probably at least the last 10, 20 years. Danny Rand, the Immortal Iron Fist, is the best martial artist in the Marvel universe. Period. Prior to that, there was a character, I believe Shang-Chi, who was I think his comic book name was
I heard of him.
The Kung Fu Master, I think was the name of the comic. I have like one issue of that randomly that I think I got from my dad. But
Really?
like for a long time there was an argument between is Shang-Chi the best or is Iron Fist the best. But now like Shang-Chi, like that's not even like I don't even know if he still exists in the Marvel universe. There is no question Iron Fist is supposed to be the best martial artist on the planet. So the idea that you're right, the idea that Daredevil can go toe to toe with him one on one and win, it's just a testament to
Daredevil
the fact.
didn't just go toe to toe. He won the fight. He won. I felt like he like
It's
I
a
was like,
testament
this
to
is-
the fact that the writers don't really know what to do with the character, or the fact that the actor they chose to play the character can't be a believable martial artist. They can't have a guy who doesn't even look like he knows how to fight beating Daredevil, because Charlie Cox has killed it the entire time from Daredevil
Yeah.
season 1. He has always looked phenomenal in these fight scenes, and Finn
the
Jones
problem,
just
I heard
never
the problem
has.
was I heard the problem was that that the Iron Fist doesn't have a mask on, so they have to find these really creative ways to put in a stunt double or whatnot. But if you just put a mask on him,
Yeah,
it would, I'm
creatively,
serious, though. I mean,
creatively awful. Some of the stunt double shots when you see them are so bad, and it's not even like some people nitpick too much. Like I've seen people showing a scene from that final fight where they were all fighting amongst the Dragon Bones, and he throws a punch and it doesn't even connect, and the guy falls down. When you
I saw that.
Okay, but when you watch that in full speed, it's very hard to notice that. Like you really have to be looking for it. Obviously, when you watch it in slow
I didn't
motion,
see it until somebody slowed it down. Yeah,
exactly. When you watch it in slow motion,
it was the same
it's gonna
way.
look bad.
It was the same way when Star Wars in the Phantom Menace in that the fight
Exactly.
with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. Like I didn't see that it was that bad when I watched it originally. I thought it was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And that was kind
But
of weird.
one of the things that they
Yeah,
did,
so-
one of the smart things that they did with that fight is that they actually performed that fight slowly, sort of beat by beat, and then they sped it up in post, which made it look better.
Oh,
but
is that
I
what they
mean,
did?
yeah, and one of the things too with Iron Fist, one of the complaints that was made about season 1, somebody I was listening to made reference to this other show that was on TNT, not TNT, AMC. You remember the martial arts show that was on AMC? I think it's gotten to Badlands. They talk about how
Into the Badlands. Yeah.
Into the Badlands. Like I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch it. It has some of the best fight choreography.
Yeah, I watched both seasons, and that choreography is good. It's way better.
Apparently, from what I read or heard, I can't remember which now, but one of the things they do with that is that each fight scene, like they actually perform it for like weeks before they actually film it. Like they practice it and drill it, and it is literally, it's like a dance. It's like a kind of like like a ballet, a 1 2 3 1 2 3. Like there's a rhythm to it, and there's a beat by beat progression, so that they make sure they get every single step and every single moment of the choreography perfectly before they record it. That's the type of choreography that Iron Fist needed to be what it is supposed to be, because that's supposed to be the martial arts show of the Marvel universe, and instead it was like this weird boardroom drama. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Back to Defenders.
Yeah. Danny Rand sucks.
Danny Rand sucks. The Hand sucks, man. The Hand, like, as bad as Iron Fist is, the Hand are the worst part of the Defenders season 1. They're too ambiguous of a villain. It's just, they're like this nebulous sort of, oh, who's the bad guy? Well, the Hand is the bad guy. Okay, well, why are they the bad guy? Because of the Hand. Okay, but that doesn't, that's too circular. You know, it's like they never actually really.
I don't. I don't feel the same way. I like the Hand, and I like this. I mean, they're like a fake ass Hydra, you know. And it's, you know, but like what I don't what I didn't like about it was their end goal was just to
Get back home.
to be immortal, and then at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh yeah, and we're going to destroy New York as well." And I didn't like that. I was like, "Really?" I mean, I felt like the Defenders were supposed to be grounded, not saving the entire city. Because let's put it this way: if the Avengers showed up, right, they would have took out the Hand in like 20 seconds, right? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, no disagreement from me.
Like, I feel like Iron Man would have ran through all the Hand by himself, like, or even Captain America for that matter.
Yeah, there's
I don't
disagreement. Or the Hulk. Could you imagine the
Right,
Hulk
so
taking on the Hand? It's not even a fight.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious to see. But no, but so when they start saying things like they're gonna blow up the city, things like that, to me that's an Avengers level of event, you know. And I felt like that was too big for the Defenders. I didn't like that much.
No, I disagree.
Like
Street level heroes are my they're very close to my heart, I should say. My favorite comic book heroes on Marvel and DC have always been the street level kind because they are naturally more grounded. And sometimes street level heroes, especially when you get a group of them together like the Defenders, sometimes they take on a citywide event like the Hand threatening to collapse an entire city. We're not saving the world. The Avengers save the world. You know what I mean? That's what the Avengers are for. When Galactus shows up or the Skrulls show up or something along those lines, Thanos, that's what the Avengers do. But yeah, the Defenders can totally save New York City and it not leave being grounded. I will agree with you though that I would like to see them go more grounded going forward, and that's why I think the Kingpin is a better villain going forward.
Exactly. So like the Kingpin's not trying to blow up the city, you know what I mean? He's just committing crimes in order for him to gain power or something like that. And to me that sounds like a Defender level villain, you know? And I mean that, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I guess they didn't know what the hell to do with the Hand. At the end of the day,
they didn't
really.
They did.
Yeah.
And that was
I like
was
the
my
Hand.
problem.
Like I said, I like the African guy. I loved him. I thought he was great. He was talking shit literally up until he died. I was like, until Stick cut his head off. I was like, this is amazing. And the Japanese guy. He kind of ended unceremoniously. But
he did.
Bakudo, God, dude, I don't like him.
Yeah, Bakudo's on my bad list. He's awful. He's an unnecessary character. They should have never brought him back. And then they cheapened his existence and the existence of the Five Fingers of the Hand that are supposed to be like really powerful, like, you know, going toe to toe with superpowered individuals. And he gets killed. And he gets taken out by
Colleen.
Yeah, like, and I love Colleen. I love Colleen, but she's not supposed to be able to beat Bakudo. Like that's not realistic at all. So I thought it was unnecessary.
But you could make the argument. You could make the argument that he got the jump on her. He got the jump on her because Bakudo chops off Misty Knight's arm, which is awesome, by the way. I'm really glad that was awesome.
I am glad they did that as well.
That sounds terrible. Yeah,
I
want to see this robotic arm.
Terrible. Oh, totally. Question: while we're on the conversation of her robotic arm, who do you think she gets it from? Do you think she has to
get it from Danny Rand? But in the comic books, she got it from Stark Industries.
Yes, it's a Stark Tech arm in the comics. But I agree with you from the way they were making it sound with the, you know, Danny owns the hospital and it's state of the art. She's going to get it from Danny, and that makes no sense because Rand Financial isn't like, they're not an industrial company like that. Like even if they didn't want to use Stark for some reason, I would prefer they would use like Hammer Tech or something. Like use a technology company.
Right.
Don't just make Danny like the solution because he's a billionaire. It takes more than being a billionaire. You have to have, you know, a certain level of knowledge of robotics and cybernetics to pull something like this off, and he doesn't have that. And it's just not realistic. Because if his hospital can do that, then why aren't they fixing everybody? Like, that's kind of the whole point.
I know, right?
It's
I just see freaking Iraq veterans in there, and
exactly,
you know,
like the
right?
whole reason that Misty was able to get a Stark Tech arm is because, you know, Tony Stark decided that she deserved it. You know what I mean? That not everybody.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought it was like some. I thought it was like some police program or something like that. Like, you know,
yeah, well,
wounded cops or so.
Yeah, it was a wounded cop thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he decides that these programs exist, that he's going to help out this group of people. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise, it's just this random hospital that's giving out cybernetics. Like, it just doesn't. I don't know. I didn't like that.
Oh, okay. So while we're on the topic of Misty Knight, remember I said she was in my bad, and this is my bad. I wrote it right here in my notes. It says the treatment of Misty Knight by the Defenders. I didn't like that. Like, she's literally going through the whole season, and she's like, "What's going on?" And everybody's like, "We can't tell you." I'm like, "Fucking tell her, please tell her." Like, she's literally the only one who can help you or trying to help you, who's even concerned, because none of the other cops even care. And I'm just like, please tell her, you know, what's going on. I felt like she didn't deserve that, and I felt Luke Cage should have been warmer to her, considering all she did for Luke Cage. Yeah. And then, even though they were being douchebags to her, there was another scene where she comes in and she's like, "How much time do you need?" You know, and I'm like, she's still helping them, even though y'all been complete douches to this girl. I didn't like that. You know what I mean? Even Batman trusts Commissioner Gordon, and I feel like Misty was kind of like a Commissioner Gordon for this kind of role. I don't know.
And I agree with you, and I disagree with you. I agree with about 95% of what you said. I don't think that they included her.
You should agree with 100%.
I don't think they included her enough. They made things more difficult for themselves by not using her as a resource. But part of the reason why they didn't use her as a resource is because you just made the very point of she's Commissioner Gordon-like, but she's not a commissioner. She has no power. She has no authority. She's on this task force, but she's still a detective. The writers missed an opportunity because they should have given her a promotion to where she was like a lieutenant or something, a task force leader. They should have put her in a position to where she could actually actively be a resource to the Defenders, and then they could have written it so that the Defenders used her more. Now it makes her.
That's a really good point.
Because at the end of the day, she looks like a bystander, and then when she gets her arm cut off, she looks like a victim. You know, like if she had been given the information that she needed, then she never gets her arm cut off, possibly. But then we don't get, you know, robotic arm Misty Knight, and in future potentially Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, Daughters of the Dragon. Let's go.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I think it happens. I think it happens in Iron Fist because everybody hates Iron Fist anyway, and they need something else to do with that show. So instead of making it Iron Fist season 2 100% about Iron Fist, they're going to make it about something about Iron Fist and also about the Daughters of the Dragon. Because I think Colleen's response to how she felt like she was sidelined through this whole adventure is to try to take a step forward to become like her own hero, and it's going to be her and Misty Knight working together. Daughters of the Dragon, let's go.
They're gonna kill off Danny Rand, and freaking Colleen's gonna somehow absorb the immortal Iron Fist abilities or whatever. I don't. I swear to God, man. I swear. I don't know.
That would be too awesome. That would be too awesome. I'm sorry, Marvel. They're just not smart enough to do that. They're not smart enough to do that. I would say so. For my last bad. I was going to talk about the couple of supporting characters I don't think they used correctly. I thought Foggy was pretty much unnecessary. Foggy played the role.
He got Luke Cage out of jail really really easily, by the way.
He did. He did, and that was the best thing he did. That and the whole my friends call me Foggy, and Luke Cage says, "And you let them." That was comedy gold. And after that, if I didn't see him for the rest of the season, I would have been happy. Because Matt Murdock doesn't need two better angels on his shoulder. He didn't need Karen Page and Foggy Nelson. They could have gotten away with just doing Karen Page for everything that Foggy Nelson did, and it would have just been better. We didn't need two of these characters doing the exact same thing. And then, on top of that, the way that they used Claire was atrocious. Like you talked about them not including Misty Knight. Claire is the connective tissue of the entire series. She's the one character that's been in every single season of every other show. She should have been used to bring all of the Defenders together, not just Danny and Luke. They should have found a way for her to say, look, I know all these people. Some shit's going down. Let's all get them. Let me bring you guys all together so you can figure things out. The fact that they all because honestly, the way that they all found their way to that building in Hell's Kitchen was a little silly. Like, I mean, come on, Luke Cage found a park.
First of all,
he found a parking slip. You know what I mean? like it was dumb. It was really dumb, and it was just.
I think Daredevil was dumb because I'm like, there's one scene they're like, oh, we need to find the next lead. You need to find the next lead, and like I'm like, Daredevil was like, don't you remember that giant hole in the ground you found last season? Like,
exactly.
Did you forget? Did you forget about the hole to nowhere? You just like went on living your life. Like you're not gonna investigate this a little bit? Like, come on, dude. You know it's a hand related thing. So that's. I don't know. I guess I got to suspend disbelief here or something.
Of course.
Like that.
At the end of the day.
But I'll tell you what I don't like Claire. I like Claire, but what I didn't like, I definitely didn't like what they did with her in Iron Fist. I liked her as the night nurse, and when they fired her from the hospital or whatever, that's when. I think that's where her character was. I mean, in Iron Fist, she's literally traveling the world fighting ninjas. And I'm like, that is not
that was
the
a
character.
Stretch.
And
that was a stretch.
Yeah.
But did you notice? You notice in Defenders though, she mentions that she's still doing night nurse work, basically patching people up at the clinic. So she's still working as the night nurse. She still is there to fix the heroes when they get broken. So I agree with you. Her traveling the world in Iron Fist was kind of silly. I think they wanted to try to maybe give her character more screen time and more depth, and just fix the fact that Iron Fist sucked and they needed somebody who was likable on screen more often. But yeah, her taking on ninjas was a little bit of a stretch.
It was beyond a stretch because it's a ninja. You can't be a ninja just because you took 5 Taibo classes with freaking Colleen Wing does not qualify you to be fighting ninjas. And oh god, all right, quickly, what did you think about that Wu-Tang Clan song that they plugged in that final battle? How did that make you?
I loved it. It was Protect Your Neck. Look, I want Protect Your Neck to play in the morning when I wake up. I want it to play when I walk into work. I want it to play when I go in the bathroom. Like, Protect Your Neck works in every single situation, but it especially works in a ass-kicking scenario like that. You got 4 awesome superheroes that are throwing around a bunch of nameless thugs, beating the crap out of some red shirts. I loved it. How could you not love it? It was one of the best scenes in the entire series.
It completely took me out of the mood. Like once that song comes on, you know nothing bad's about to happen, right? So as Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Daredevil are going down the elevator, and they're like, Daredevil's like, hey man, there's like 30 guys down there. Madame Gao's down there. My ex-girlfriend's down there. This is unlike anything we've ever faced before. I'm like, okay, Dread. This is what I'm waiting for, right? And then they start fighting, and then something happened. I can't remember what happened. And then they start playing that music, and I'm like, oh well, there's that feeling of dread that I just had. It's gone. It completely. What happened changed the whole scenario for me.
What happened was Luke Cage told Iron Fist to light him up. He used his glowing fist to knock everybody away. That music starts. I got hyped. And it was awesome, and you're wrong. You're just wrong, man. Sorry to tell you. Sorry to tell you.
Oh man, it is. I remember that distinctly when I was watching it, man. I was like, I don't believe they just did that. But all right, maybe I'm wrong because you know what? I watched a couple other reviews online, and some people did like it. You obviously like it, so I guess I'm the odd man out here.
Like isn't even the word.
Wrong. I'm not wrong.
Like isn't even the word. I loved it, and you're wrong. So lastly, not even lastly, but let's move on to what things you think they could have done to have made the show better, besides changing the music because I don't want you like you're never allowed to be the DJ at any of my parties. Just letting you know.
Okay, fine. Well, all right. One thing. This is the thing I did not like, and I wish they could have done better. Was Daredevil's identity. I felt like he was not protecting his identity very well this show. And that's a weird thing to say, but like I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand how people didn't put together that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. I mean, gosh, I don't even know how to articulate what I'm trying to say here.
Dude,
whatever. Let me think about it and come back
Superman
to it.
puts some gel in his hair and takes his glasses off, and people don't realize it's Clark Kent. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, yes, these are comic book stories. We have to suspend a little disbelief. The one advantage that Matt Murdock has at protecting his alter ego of Daredevil, or vice versa, I should actually say, is that nobody believes a blind man can do the things that Daredevil does. So that's the advantage he has. Even if you saw him do it, right, you would still be like, huh? That's not possible. You could see him put on the costume and you still wouldn't believe it.
But no, this is... Look, all right, so there was a scene in the restaurant. Oh, yeah, by the way, best episode of the whole season, the restaurant episode.
The restaurant episode was restaurant episode's a great episode. I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I like that. All right, so they're all four of them. Everybody's in the restaurant, right? Stick, Daredevil, and Daredevil, and because they convinced him to take off the scarf, which is hilarious, by the way. They convinced him to take off the scarf, and then who comes walking in? It's Sigourney Weaver. What's her name?
Alexandra.
Yeah.
Alexandra.
Yeah, Alexandra. Yeah, right. So she comes in, and she's like calling him out, and she's like, we know who we are, all this stuff, and then she sees Matt Murdock with no mask fighting, right? She sees him fighting, and then I think the African guy, where they have him tied up in a wheelchair, he threatens Karen Page to Daredevil, showing that he knows who he is. And then, but later on, right before Alexandra dies, she's like, we'll take out Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, whoever he is. I'm like, you don't know who, you were just in the room with him when he was Matt Murdock, and you watched him fight ninjas. And I don't know, I thought that was... I guess that's a nitpick. I don't know. I was like, how do you not know who he is? He's playing it too loose with his identity, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel where you're coming from. I think they basically established, especially with the scarf thing, and him talking about it so much, they established that his hiding his identity was important to him. And I think once they did that, they just expected the audience to kind of suspend disbelief on everything else. Was it a good decision, bad decision? It didn't really affect me too tough. One of the things I thought that they could do better was that I could sense there was a theme that was brewing between all the good main characters, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. There was a theme that kept being repeated of not wanting to be a hero. You know what I mean? Jessica Jones flat out said, "Don't say the H word to Trish." Luke Cage, I don't even remember who he was talking to, but he was talking to the young man who got caught up in the life or whatever, and he said, "Hero is your word, not mine." Daredevil was actively trying to let the police do their job and focus on being a lawyer, and there was a clear central theme of 3 reluctant heroes and 1 jackass. And the jackass part threw me because it's like there needed to be, for this to really to gel properly, all 4 defenders needed to be reluctant heroes that needed to be driven home. And it was never driven home with Danny because he's just so oblivious to everything. And it just
I actually like the fact that Danny wanted to team up so badly, and he was like, I don't understand how you guys cannot see this is the obvious thing we need to do. I thought that was I actually kind of like that. I know what you're saying about the reluctant hero. I liked the lighthearted Danny Rand, and I saw something in Danny Rand. God forgive me for complimenting him. I liked it, like when he was in the restaurant and he's like eating food or whatever, and he's like all excited about food. I like that Danny Rand, just the silly. Just kiddie having fun Danny Rand. Like it's all a game to him, and when you try to make him serious, that's what I don't like it.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you on that. I think
So
that there's a certain level of levity that Danny Rand had in this one that was a better fit for his character and more close to the comic book adaptation or portrayal, I should say, of him as well.
right, he's better. He's a lot better in Defenders than he is in his own freaking show, which is sad to say. But
it's true.
They made improvements.
But it's definitely
Okay,
true.
all right. So wait, so that was really what I said. What I said about Daredevil wasn't how they could have did better. What they could have done better. This is what they. I didn't think that everyone had a role in a movie like this. I feel like, or in a show like this, I feel like every character should have a moment or a thing that they do that they couldn't got through this situation without them or whatever, right? And like, for example, when they blow up the buildings with using the dynamite or whatever. I thought it would have been cool if perhaps Iron Fist would have hit the building, punched the building in the weak spots and caused the building to collapse or something like that. Or Daredevil has to navigate through these dark caverns because, he can see and everything like that, but they all can't. I felt like, what's that special thing that this team needs you to do? I didn't feel like they had those moments here. You know what I mean? Like when the Avengers do things, everybody has their thing. Like think about the original Avengers, right? Like Thor's job was to plug that hole and bring lightning on him. Iron Man was running around. He had to get the missile out of there. The Hulk was freaking taking out everything and anything in his path, And then in Captain America is calling the shots. Everybody has a specific task that they can do, and I feel like the Defenders did not do that. Like, what was Jessica Jones' thing that she had to do that no one else could have done? There wasn't anything, And
hey,
that's
she
what I
held
felt
up.
like they
She
could have
held up
done
that
better.
elevator. She saved them when that elevator almost fell. So that was the thing. But
Honestly, Luke, I think Luke Cage would have survived that fall. To be honest with you, Danny Rand's fucked, but who cares?
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think it goes back to I think you said it earlier. Hero moments. If they would have allowed each character to kind of have their hero moment, and I don't know. There's some argument to be made that Luke Cage is bulletproof, so his opportunities to take bullets for everybody else, that's kind of where he's shown. Jessica Jones is super strong. She did the elevator thing, but beyond that, I agree with you. There wasn't opportunities for the main characters to kind of distinguish themselves, and that is definitely something they could have done better. As far as using those moments, like you said, the idea of Iron Fist punching the weak spots, that's actually a really cool idea. Now, how does he do that and still get out of there on time would be my only question.
He does. He does it. He does it. I don't know. How did Matt Murdock get out of there? Please, God, somebody tell me how he escaped.
Well, now you got to watch Daredevil season 3 probably to find out. That's going to be the only way. So.
They didn't have to sell me on that. I was gonna watch it anyway. I mean,
so what about?
Hey, real quick though, we didn't talk about this. What'd you think about Elektra?
Honestly, Elektra really kind of falls into my bad category, and nothing that she did nothing that she did was necessarily bad. It's just that once they made her the main villain, spoilers, as we've already done our spoilers, but once she killed
Right.
Alexandra and they made her the main villain, she's not a main villain. She just isn't. She can be the main villain in a Daredevil story, especially if you want to do like kind of what Daredevil did in Daredevil season 2, where they had like kind of 3 arcs ish over a 13 episode season. Like, yeah, if you want to do her in like a short arc being the villain, fine. But her being the overall villain for the Defenders, no. Like, even with the Black Sky and everything else they want to kind of make up and pull out of their ass, Elektra's not a main villain, and I didn't.
I didn't like that either. I liked her as a henchman for Alexandra. I was really sad when they killed her because I felt like she was a villain I kind of respected somewhat,
I agree.
and then they made Elektra the main villain. And I was like, I mean, whatever, man. She's just a good fighter, but I feel like there's really no depth to her as a character. I really don't. You know,
Yeah, and there's, I mean, I feel like there was more depth to her when she was alive. I mean, I think she was a positive attribute of Daredevil season 2. However, the kind of the zombie slave-ish super fighter that she was portraying in this one it just didn't do anything for me, and I just didn't.
No,
I could have done without it. So what about final thoughts? What do you anything else you want to say about the show, and give your rating, of course?
Man. All right. So we need to set the standard here, man. All right, how are we going to rate things? Oh, by the way, y'all, if y'all haven't noticed, this is our very first episode. So if we sound like we don't know what we're doing, that's the reason why, right? Because we're winging it, right?
Because we literally don't know what we're doing. That's why it sounds that way.
No, not yet. We'll figure it out on the way. But all right. So how do you want to grade, man? Do you want to be strict with it, or do you want to be? All right. You know what? Screw it. Because I don't want to just be going out giving out 9s and 10s, right? This definitely wasn't that anyway. But
well, and even then,
I would give this.
Before you go there, before you go with the 1 through 10 scale, I hate the 1 through 10 scale. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the 1 through 10 scale is never used the way that it should be used. Because if it was used properly, then a 5 would be roughly average. That'd be saying that it was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just good. It was right there in the middle. It's like everything else that's on television. But nobody does that because you give something a 5 and it sounds like you're trashing it, right? I personally like the A through F scale, right? Because people don't feel nearly as bad about a C. You know what I mean? If you give something a C, which is once again average, people don't feel like you're trashing it. But it's basically saying the same thing as giving something a 5. So
right,
I would personally prefer.
Are we doing pluses and minuses? Can we do a plus and a minus?
Yes, totally. Pluses and minuses are totally allowed. Just you can't do a check cool. minus though. That's a South Park joke.
Do you apply the same scale to like women? You know, like when you're out in the club and you're like, oh, you know, she's a C. You know, like
no,
does the same scale apply to that?
I do not objectify women, especially if my mom just happens to listen to this podcast. Love you, Mom.
Oh yeah, no, we would never mother. Nope.
We would never do that. Not here on the Whatever, man. Nah. We treat all women as equals, and they are all lovely on the inside, just as they are on the outside.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, if that's the case, this is a C plus, B minus. I'm gonna go C plus.
C plus, okay. That was harsher than I would have thought. I personally gave it a B. I gave it a solid B. There are things I think that could have been easily tweaked that could have taken us to a B plus easily, but for what we ended up with the product that we got, I'm going to give it a B.
Well, I think the reason is I'm such a fanboy right now, right? Where that like Marvel just can't do anything wrong. That's not true. Marvel can't do anything wrong because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was not good. It was not a good movie.
Wow. Okay, so we got to have a whole nother podcast on why you're wrong about Guardians of the Galaxy being a good movie. Man, we have
Volume
so
2.
many,
Volume 2. Volume 1 was good.
I know.
Volume 1 was good.
I heard you say Volume 2. You're wrong. You are just wrong. Like Volume 2 might have even been better than Volume 1. And I'm not at this moment ready to die on that specific hill, but what I will argue with you Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was an amazing movie. You're just wrong. And everybody who agrees with you is wrong.
All right. So the reason thing I'm saying is that reason why I didn't like it. Well, I did like it. I do like the show. I do like the show. It's very entertaining. Yeah. I wanted more. What I didn't like about it is I think that it's riding too much on the backs of Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones, and how much I like those shows and those characters. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I feel like this would not stand alone if it wasn't for what they've already built previously, and that's obviously what they were trying to do. But if this was a standalone series, a bunch of characters that I didn't know, I don't know if I would like it as much. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I like
Yeah.
those characters that much, so that's why I'm giving it a C plus.
And that's also why I like this rating scale, because you don't really have to defend a C plus. A C plus means that you felt like it was above average, and there's nothing wrong with being slightly above average. It was. I agree with you. It was a solid show. Like I said, I give it a B. To me, it was it was good but not great. There was definitely pacing issues. I feel like the first 3 episodes really were just slowly paced, and it took too long to get us to what we wanted. What we wanted was that hallway scene that happened in episode 3, where we get all 4 of the heroes together. That should have happened at episode 2 at the latest. So it just wasn't very.
I'm
well
okay
paced
happening in episode 1.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that happening in episode 1, and then you flash back to how they got to this location. You know what I mean? I'm cool.
That
would
have been that would have been an interesting way to do it too. I think at the end of the day, it was poorly paced in the beginning, and then it kind of like really picked up the speed in the second half, and that's why it ended up getting a B for me. It's just it redeemed itself in a lot of ways in the second half. But if we would have gotten just what we got in the first half, I would have been very, very disappointed in the series.
So did you give it a B? You give it a B minus or B plus? Or it's straight up B.
Just a B, a solid B, good but not great, solid B.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that, man. You got anything else?
No. Just happy to be here, talking to you.
Yeah, man. Nothing better than sitting in this room without my air conditioning on, so my microphone doesn't pick it up because I'm sweating over here.
Yeah, it sucks so bad.
I'm about to figure this thing out, man.
Yeah, you have to get it like an ice box before we start recording, and then just kind of ride that out through the whole show. That's the trick.
Well, man. This thing went on for an hour. We said we're going to do 20 to 30 minutes, man. Whatever. Who cares? It's our podcast. It's the whatever, man, where we can do whatever we want. Where we can do whatever. It's the greatest name ever for a podcast.
It totally is.
But anyway, guys, we'll get out of here. Please like and subscribe. And I'm Malcolm Lee Kennedy, also known as MLK. And Theo?
I'm Theo, also known as Theo. Check me out on social media at Blurting Out. Same thing as Nerding Out, but with a BL instead of an N. And that's, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And, like MLK said, like and subscribe and be ready to have more of us yelling at you or something.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, I'm not ready to put. I'm not ready to put out my social media presence just yet. I'm building some things right now, and we just had to get this episode out, but it'll come eventually. But all right, guys, we're out of here.
Later. Peace.